So hello, Sam. Thank you for joining me. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Charlotte. The sun is shining in Leeds, which is a rarity in itself. All
Yeah,
good in my book, if that's the case.
I'm surprised you haven't all run outside and
I,
abandoned your ship.
I'm dashing straight off after this.
I love it. Cool. Well, look, thank you for joining me today. So, I wanted to give a chance for the members to get a bit more understanding about sort of Bold and what you guys are about. So, it'd be awesome to get, I suppose, an overview potentially of your sort of journey today and what you guys are, yeah, what you're about.
Yeah, sure. So I'll keep it fairly simple, really. We build websites and brands for recruitment companies of all sizes, from one-person organizations and new companies through to multinationals. Recruitment's kind of our bag. The three of the four directors have all worked within recruitment, so we've kind of seen life on the other side and obviously been doing this for a good while now. So Bold's been going about 7 or 8 years now. Originally, it was set up purely as a website builder, as a kind of literally just doing the websites and a bit of extra technology. Quickly discovered you can build a good website, but if there's a bad visual kind of representation or visual brand that goes on that, it lets the website down. So about 5 years ago, we started doing a bit more of the visual branding, and that's really taken off. And that was great for a while. And then we realized you can build a great, well functioning website with a lovely brand image on it. But if the content's not right and the verbal brand isn't right, again, it lets the whole overall website down. So about 3 years ago, we started doing a lot more of the strategic branding and the verbal brand communications, which is now kind of the cornerstone of everything that we build today, and working through that process.
Nice, great. And talk me through, because obviously ChatGPT, AI, automation, everyone's going mad for that, as they should be. A lot of people have no idea where to start. How do you kind of help people in that area?
Sure. So from I guess a brand and a content piece, we'd always say with your verbal branding, so that the first stage would always look through, which is usually things like your purpose, your vision, your values as a company, what you stand for, through to your positioning elements, points of difference, commitments you can make to the market, and then finally wrapping that up with your key core messages, so headline, taglines, things like that. We'd usually advise that needs to be genuine and authentic, so probably not best to leverage too much AI for that part of it. When we're moving on to content, that's when you really can start to leverage it. There's a few things to probably watch out for, though. So first of all, it's fantastic if you know how to use it with good prompts. Let's take GPT as a good example. If you can devise a good prompt that gets exactly what you want, it's unbelievable just watching it come before your eyes. Where AI is probably a little way off yet, or where there's probably some issues to potentially be aware of, is using it for full content, whether that's a blog post or a news post, a LinkedIn article, or website copy itself. A number of reasons why. First of all, you tend to lose a lot of personality from it. That tone of voice that naturally is how you speak. I'm sure we've all seen something and you hear it in that person's voice because it's written exactly in their personality. It's never quite going to get that spot on. And the other issue, if you're using AI generated content for websites and for blogs and things like that, it affects your SEO fairly negatively. So Google's webmaster can pick up any AI generated content from, I think, beginning of 2023. All content comes with kind of like a watermark, a bit like on a banknote, and it negatively impacts that if there's lots of that within your website. So our advice would always be, it's great for creating ideas for lists, come up with 30 ideas for LinkedIn posts based on X, Y, and Z, and you're away. It's also good for a first draft of writing things, but a bit like I know I did, I'm sure some other people did with their dissertation, take it and rewrite it, rather than just copy and paste it exactly as is always our advice. But yeah, that first stage always starts with the verbal brand communications, understanding who the brand is, and obviously building the content with people as well. So there's plenty of opportunities to use it.
Yeah. And so you said there as well, a lot of you guys came from the recruitment
Mm.
industry and then obviously went into this area. What do you feel is really important about having that sort of, I suppose, practical knowledge of recruitment that's then been applied? How is that a key differentiator for you guys?
Sure. So I think certainly feedback we've had from some clients before that have come across to us where they've had maybe not the best experience with a web design agency in the past, is they're having to spend a lot of time explaining what a candidate is, and these are people we're finding jobs for, and then what a client is, and it can get a little bit tedious. So I think that understanding from a base level is good, but for me it's the actual understanding of creating something that works. So understanding from a recruiter's perspective, they don't want to spend too much time updating lots of things. So the CMS has to be really easy to use, really simple, basic things like that. But for us, definitely in terms of understanding the marketplace means we could advise on it a lot better. Having been there before, certainly having worked with probably 350 plus recruitment companies now, we have a good understanding of what works, what doesn't, and then your basic things like integrations. We've integrated with all the major CRM and ATS platforms. We've got a load of technology that we've built for the recruitment sector if people need it, client microsites and salary surveys and things like that. So I guess there's a few facets to why having that interest or that background in recruitment helps, but I think the main point is probably just an understanding of where people are and often what it is they're looking to achieve with the website, which typically is one of three things or a combination of the above. BD, attracting more clients, candidate attraction and try and fill up that pipeline, or attract more consultants to the business and grow the team internally. So having a good understanding of, as we call the 3 Cs, what the weighting is there from the outset of a project is really important to make sure that we're achieving the right objectives, because there's nothing worse than just creating something that maybe looks fantastic but doesn't do a job. And this is something we're quite big on. Ultimately, your website's a commercial project. It's not a vanity project or a vanity metric to have to look at this, look what we did, isn't it fantastic? It's there to earn you more money. So understanding from the outset, okay, well, what are the objectives? How can we then make sure we reverse engineering the design process to make sure we hit those objectives?
Yeah, and that's so true. So true. It really should be there purely for that commercial purpose and really sort of accelerating that forwards. So that said, there are a couple of recruitment sort of website specialists. So why Bold? What in particular, I suppose, really is your USP, makes you different?
Other than these dulcet tones you're having the pleasure of listening to, of course. It would probably be our focus on the brand up front. So understanding the brand and the business behind the brand and that brand strategy all the way through to design, rather than just starting on design. So we've got a lovely kind of metric there where a lot of people are doing the things around the outside, which is your marketing, your SEO, your PPC campaigns, or your social media, digital marketing. And then within that, you need to make sure we've got a good visual identity, which is where a lot of people start: logos, color palettes, things like that. We go one step further and start at the brand strategy, so understanding who you are, what markets you're operating in, what your points of difference are, and not just understanding that, but we'll take a big lead on creating a lot of those brand communications. And we have what we call buzzwordy recruitment phrases, which we will often try and push people away from. I'm sure you've seen the same 5 values in lots of different recruitment companies, that they kind of lose meaning. So I think for us, there's some other really great website companies out there, particularly in the recruitment space, that do a fantastic job. I think the one main thing that separates us is that steer on brand and understanding the brand first and leading with some strategic insight rather than just diving into lovely colors and making something look good. I suppose it's that. And the secondary one is probably we've got a range of options, from more theme-based options from a website perspective. So the same branding process, but then applying it to a bit of a preset theme. There's some flexibility, obviously, but a lot more cost effective, a lot more time effective. All the way to the other end of the scale with full bespokes. And I'd like to always use the really boring analogy of buying a new build house and then being able to design the colors, if you want wallpaper, carpet, wooden floor, whatever you'd like in there, but you're kind of stuck to where the walls are, or you're getting an architect in and you've got a plot of land and you're just creating from scratch. It's probably the boring analogy I'd always bring it back to. They're probably the two things I'd say that separate us.
Although that is a good analogy. I like that.
Thank you. It's had some practice over the years, I must say.
Yeah, I like that one. But I think what's I really noticed about you guys, and was key with the project that we did with you, because we've used you guys as well, is that real importance around authenticity. And I think you tied it in really well with AI there. It is so important to your brand, that authenticity. And I think even more now as we push into this space where we're using AI more, people will start to notice when it's lacking that authenticity, and that's what people really connect with. And I think sometimes people are nervous to showcase that because it's quite, daunting and vulnerable to kind of put your authenticity out there. But it can be, when done right, it can be the key differentiator and how you can stand out in your market. So I think that's really cool.
No, I totally agree. I think without that authenticity, you're always going to fall flat. You're always going to kind of blend it into the background. A few points to unpick there then. So I think in terms of AI, you're absolutely right that if you have a website that is full of AI copy and every other website is, and you've got no way of standing out there. The other kind of more practical point is if let's say you've got a website copy and some LinkedIn that are all generated by AI or heavily relying on that, and it's really well written, really, I guess, clear, specific, professional language. If you're not that type of person and someone sees that LinkedIn and then gets on the phone to you and you're very much like, oh, mate, it doesn't quite add up. It's incongruent, and you kind of lose trust from the outset there. So I think definitely when we're looking at that, it's important to bear in mind that at some point you're going to have to interact with people. So it's all good and well having a visual brand and a social presence and a digital presence that is one thing, but it needs to be authentic and organic to yourself. On the flip side, we always make a point of saying we're not building a brand for you. So, when we built Doherty Group, it wasn't for you, it was for your target audience. It was for your clients and your candidates, your customers. There's always that distinction of, yes, you've got to like it. At the end of the day, it's your name on it, but it's not your tastes. It's what's right for your target market. For example, if we had a tech company, and that, a lot of companies that work within the tech space, and then we had a social and healthcare recruitment company, and the types of brands you'd have thought would be very different for a reason, even if they may like similar things as people. So making sure that everything's always reverse engineered around target audiences, but still retaining that authenticity, crucial.
Yeah. Crucial indeed. Well, look, I'm going to wrap us up there for today. So thank you so much for that. So details about Bold will be in the links in the comments below, but I know Sam and the team would be more than happy to speak to any of the members and go through a bit of a, deep dive into where they're at now and where they could be improving, no doubt.
Absolutely. We offer audits, brand audits, website audits. So if somebody is not knowing whether they've got a great brand and website or they need to do a load of work, we'll happily fly through a bit of stuff. And even if the worst case scenario, you leave with some really practical and kind of tangible things to take away and improve your brand. We also have a health check tool, which is kind of like a dumbed down version of that on the website. So if anybody wanted to go through that, then feel free.
Perfect. We'll get a link to that in the comments below as well. So thank you so much,
Marvelous.
Sam.
More than welcome. Cheers, Charlotte. Take care.
Bye.